In a stunning declaration that could reshape global security, U.S. President Donald Trump has reportedly issued a stark warning to Russian President Vladimir Putin, stating that any attack or incursion against Finland would trigger an immediate American military response. The revelation emerged following Trump's closed-door meeting with Finnish President Alexander Stubb at the White House on October 10, 2025, where sources describe a tense and serious atmosphere. According to senior administration insiders, President Trump directly told President Stubb that the United States would stand shoulder to shoulder with Finland against any Russian aggression, describing Finland's independence and sovereignty as a red line that cannot be crossed. The language used, according to diplomats present, was among the most forceful yet directed at the Kremlin since Trump's return to office. This statement comes amid rising tensions in Northern Europe, where intelligence agencies have reported unusual Russian troop and aircraft movements near the Finnish border. Trump's comments are being interpreted as a public warning to Putin that the U.S. will not tolerate further territorial expansion or hybrid warfare tactics in the region. The White House has yet to issue an official transcript of the meeting, but administration officials confirmed that Trump is fully committed to the security guarantees of NATO, even for non-member partners like Finland. Analysts believe this move aims to reaffirm U.S. strength and leadership in Europe, particularly after months of Russian cyber threats and military posturing. As the news spreads across diplomatic circles, both allies and adversaries are watching closely. Many fear that this bold stance could deter Moscow or dangerously provoke it, bringing the world one step closer to direct confrontation between two nuclear superpowers. The reaction across Europe to President Trump's warning was swift and intense, underscoring the continent's growing anxiety over Russia's next moves. In Helsinki, Finnish President Alexander Stubb expressed deep appreciation for Washington's strong stance, calling it a historic assurance of friendship and defense. Finland, which joined NATO in 2023 after decades of military non-alignment, has faced persistent cyber attacks and airspace violations from Russia. Trump's remarks, though unofficially confirmed, were seen by many in Finland as the clearest signal yet that the United States would intervene directly if Moscow dared to test the nation's sovereignty. Across Northern Europe, the reaction was mixed between relief and apprehension. In Stockholm, Swedish officials welcomed America's commitment but warned that such rhetoric could dangerously inflame tensions with Moscow. Norway and the Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia announced heightened alert levels, increasing air patrols and monitoring Russian naval movements in the Baltic Sea. The region has already been bracing for possible hybrid warfare tactics, including disinformation campaigns and energy supply disruptions, which Russia has historically used to exert pressure. In Brussels, NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg called an emergency consultation with member states to assess the alliance's readiness and to ensure coordinated responses to any sudden escalation. European diplomats described the meeting as urgent but measured, focused on balancing deterrence with diplomacy. Meanwhile, analysts in Berlin and Paris expressed concern that Trump's blunt warning could push Putin into a corner, leading to unpredictable consequences. Still, others argue that clear, uncompromising language is the only way to deter Russian adventurism. As the continent digests Trump's remarks, one sentiment dominates European headlines: the world may be entering its most precarious moment since the Cold War. Inside Moscow, President Trump's fiery warning has sparked intense debate and visible unease among Russia's political and military elite. While the Kremlin has not issued an official response, spokesperson Dmitry Peskov dismissed the U.S. president's remarks as irresponsible and provocative, accusing Washington of deliberately escalating tensions in Northern Europe. However, behind closed doors, analysts suggest that Vladimir Putin and his top generals are quietly reassessing their strategic options. Russian state media has been working overtime to frame Trump's statement as an American threat to peace, portraying Russia as a victim of Western aggression. Television programs under the Kremlin's control have accused NATO of encircling Russia, warning citizens that their nation must remain vigilant and ready. Simultaneously, intelligence sources report unusual troop movements in Russia's western military district, with satellite imagery showing increased activity near St. Petersburg, Murmansk, and the Kola Peninsula, areas strategically close to Finland's border. Military analysts believe these maneuvers are intended as symbolic displays of strength, not immediate preparations for war. Still, the risk of miscalculation remains dangerously high. Even minor skirmishes or accidental encounters between Russian and NATO forces could spiral into a full-scale confrontation, especially with the heightened alert levels now active across Europe. Economically, Russia faces pressure as Western sanctions continue to bite, limiting its ability to sustain prolonged military operations. Yet, experts caution against underestimating Putin's resolve. His past behavior suggests he often uses confrontation to consolidate domestic support. As diplomats scramble to open back-channel communications, Moscow's next move remains uncertain. Whether Putin chooses restraint or escalation, one thing is clear. The delicate balance of global security now hinges on how both Washington and Moscow navigate this volatile new phase of confrontation.